Hello, this is Raymond John May, President of ARCILITE Computer Solutions of Madison Heights, Michigan, here with a few milestones over the past 10 years that brought me to where I am today, and then a short and brief explanation as to where I want my company to be headed in the next 10 years. When I was in the corporate setting, they made a 10-year plan, a big deal, and it was like, you do your best to kind of stick to it. But now that I've been, freelancing and contracting, I think it's still best to do that, as a president, CEO of my own company, in order to give my company a little vision and to set expectations for myself, my family, and my business associates. Now, I handpicked these milestones over the past 10 years to showcase my efforts and time well spent. While achieving these goals, I've been constantly staying current with technology, always connected to social media, and helping everybody I can with their computer needs. January 17th, 2009, I left Reno, Nevada to come back to Metro Detroit with all my education that I got in Auburn Hills. I took my education out west and then used my education for experience. Worked a good, 3.5 years in Reno, Nevada total for Microsoft licensing and the Atlantis Casino Resort and Spa. Brought the education, the experience back home to Metro Detroit to start my company. And now I did have my family suffered a loss of my uncle Brad. He was a mechanic, a really good mechanic, and he suffered from lung cancer. He had his own company out in Oxford, and he was doing quite well, but his health didn't hold up, and he did pass away from lung cancer. So I left Reno in January 17th, 2009, and got all my family together and trying to bring everybody in my life back together over the loss of my Uncle Brad. Now, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what would work, what wouldn't work with my company. And officially, June 1st, 2010, I organized ARCILITE Computer Repair Company in Madison Heights, Michigan. Just a home-based business, once again, but it was called ARCILITE Computer Repair. I was trying to find the right name, and I'm not a big fan of hardware repair. I'm more software, anyways, and hardware, but people could understand computer repair, I just thought, so I chose the name ARCILITE Computer Repair. And then from June 1st, 2010, I spent time in the trenches of my city studying the auto bailout because the big three were in the tank. The stock price was down to a few dollars. They were looking really dismal. It really wasn't looking too good for the automakers in Detroit. As you know, Detroit is the motor city, so the big three was, very critical to the success of the city of Detroit. I studied the Metro Detroit design structure, because Detroit is the major city that everybody knows, and then it's surrounded by suburbs all around the city. And each suburb was given like a specific purpose. It was designed for certain classes of people, different interests, what makes up the different suburbs. Why would I choose to live in Dearborn rather than Sterling Heights or Warren, Shelby Township, Auburn Hills, Troy, Ferndale? What is it that brings you to inhabit a certain locale? And it's nice knowing which each locale, which every suburb, really specializes in. That way, whatever you're in the field for, you can go out and enjoy that type of atmosphere. For example, Dearborn, Michigan, is where Ford Motor Company's headquarters is, and they took a lot of the Arabic people. When we had the Iraq War, the United States had the Iraq War, many immigrants from Iraq and the Middle East came and settled in Dearborn, Michigan. And so that's where you can find a lot of Arabic culture, is in Dearborn. Ferndale, They call it fashionable. Ferndale has a close-knit homosexual community, if that's your taste. They have a lot of pride campaigns and whatnot. Uh, Warren has a lot of auto workers from General Motors, Chrysler. So does Sterling Heights has a lot of auto workers. Madison Heights is supposed to be a tech-centered community. If you read the Wikipedia, they really tried with a lot of Wi-Fi and different stuff. We have a micro center here in Madison Heights. Detroit is well known for being an African American community, as they're fighting slavery in the South. Many African Americans came to Detroit for safety, for a place to settle that was safe for African Americans, and they did so great with Motown and the Golden Oldies and what have you during the Civil Rights Movement. But it is still the majorly African American today, the city of Detroit. And so, I mean, really, whatever you're really into, we have the Jewish people in Southfield, Arabic people in Dearborn and Sterling Heights. We have plenty of whites still around, all around. There's plenty of old money in Birmingham, plenty of new money everywhere General Motors seems to go today. And, it's really interesting about how all of Detroit was designed. I don't know if you're a fan of Iron Man. If you've seen Iron Man, Howard Stark, which was Iron Man's father, rolls out his greatest creation, and it's the map of his city. So it kind of just shows like how all of these different parts work as a whole, where we have the city of Detroit and all the suburbs kind of give it a lot of flavor, a lot of decoration, a lot of different purposes outside of the official walls of the city. And I don't know if you're familiar with 8 Mile, Eminem's movie, but he discusses how 8 Mile was the cutoff between white and black in the city of Detroit. If you were past 8 Mile, it was for the whites, and if you're south, it was for the African Americans. And there was always problems, between that. A lot of that has died down recently, but I mean, there's still quite a bit of superstitiousness when it comes to, being white past Detroit, past 8 Mile, going into Detroit, or being black past 8 Mile. It's just the way it is. But with the Mike Duggan being Detroit's white mayor, it's gotten a lot smoothed over quite a bit. And if you look on the map, you see that Woodward kind of cuts diagonally across the map, which is kind of funny that all the designers made all these square cities with Woodward just cutting through them all, kind of like the rail system does, and it's just the way it was designed. And I also I studied the auto bailout, the design of Metro Detroit, knowing what people, what businesses go where. I attended city council meetings all around the area. I met with mayors, gave them my opinion, worked with them while they were in power and office, and got a lot of construction done in Royal Oak from the city council meetings. Warren has their thing doing very well. I was just at a President Trump rally in Warren. Madison Heights is doing very well now, even though there's a green ooze being pumped onto 696. There's still the EPA is involved. A lot of money's being spent to clean it up. States trying to cover it up. It's politics as usual. But it just I do a lot of work with the city councils and the mayors and the White House. And I officially worked with Barack Obama's White House on net neutrality changes at the federal level. Unofficially, I was kind of like on the auto bailout street team for the city of Detroit. The city of Detroit's bankruptcy did clear, downtown Detroit was rebuilt, and much money has been invested in the General Motors employees. So if you want to know where a lot of money is, it's been invested back into the employees of General Motors And the big three companies are all doing so much better. President Trump just went from NAFTA to the USMCA, which is the United States Mexico Canadian Agreement. So they're bringing a lot of jobs, a lot of factory work back to the United States. And, other than the military, there's no other factories as big as the automakers. Okay. And that was from June 1st to about July 13th, 2003. And July 13th, 2003, I personally opened the Microsoft store at Somerset Collection with the then Chief Executive Officer, Steve Ballmer, the Chief of Microsoft Security, PJ Fox, and the Mayor of Troy. Many of these Microsoft stores were opened around the state, but the only one to stay open after all the other ones closed was the one I opened, which makes me feel a little bit special that, mine stuck around, as I'm a big Microsoft guy, really, dedicated a lot of big portion of my life to Microsoft technologies. So it's nice to have a place at the mall that I feel welcome, and they're selling computers, and I can meet people that are like-minded at Somerset Collection. So all the other ones seem to have closed, but that one stayed. And it is cool if you want to pick up a Surface or go gaming there. They do all kinds of fun stuff at that mall. Period. But the Microsoft store is always coming up with something different to do. January 18th, 2016, I started contracting with the Go2IT Group. I relocated Morgan Stanley from Grosse Pointe to Birmingham, Michigan. It was, a few week contract where we got all the computers, set them up, got them back in the domain, cleaned them up, hooked up all the screens, all the TVs, every office had a TV, and with cable so they could, watch the stock prices all day long. I'm sure they're very busy still doing that. And they had the multiple screens hooked up so they could do the spreadsheets and teleconferencing and all the other great things for business. It's all done there at the Morgan Stanley. February 20th, 2018, I changed the name from ARCILITE Computer Repair to ARCILITE All Caps Computer Solutions. And I had to study the differences between the lettering and the United States manual code as to what an all caps name implies, what it means. On the driver's license, government can only act, upon that all caps name. For example, if on your driver's license, always all capital letters. It really signifies a corporation. Not getting too much into legal mumbo jumbo. I worked closely with Microsoft to design my new name, which is ARCILITE All Caps Computer Solutions, and it is a lot better than ARCILITE Computer Repair, as I never really was very good at the hardware repair anyways. Even though I could do it, I would do it. My passion really lies in the software. That's where all my skill set really applies, is with software and providing computer solutions. So I really use computers as solutions for many, many different problems, whether it be home, business, out in public, what have you. And with that name change, I started doing official press releases. I would do and I still do. I report to WJBK, Fox 2, WDIV, Channel 4, WXYZ, which is Channel 7, Detroit News, and ABC World News, New York City. Because I just picked the ones that I resonated the most with, and I do press releases whenever they apply. When it comes to my business operating effectively in the public, so I do press releases to local news and sometimes ABC World News. Also C-SPAN from time to time, and I have gotten some airtime on C-SPAN here and there for different tweets or comments or whatnot. They're really nice to me. So I think that's truly excellent that they, work so hard doing the federal news as well in Washington. On April 17th, 2018, I promoted an NFL draft party for Fox 2 News and Amy Andrews. It's kind of funny. I went old school with it. I didn't really use. I got the invitation from Twitter, which was a new technology, but I just kind of ran around with different flyers, full color flyers throughout the event. and helped out Amy Andrews of Fox 2 News. She appeared as a bartender. Apparently, everybody had a great time, raised lots of money for charity. NFL superstars were there, local celebrities, what have you. It was a great time for them. I just, did it to get a little bit of publicity for me and my company, and to help them out a little bit with one of their events. I'm always rubbing elbows with the local celebrities in that regard. February 23rd, 2018, I worked with the Vice Chancellor of Information Technology for Oakland Community College to upgrade their excellent hardware from Windows 7 to Windows 10. I was just mucking around at the community college one day, and I checked the library, and I seen that their computers were running Windows 7, and Windows 10 has been out for a year or so, and it's just so great. And so I checked the hardware, and I seen the hardware was adequate to handle Windows 10 without a problem. So I worked with the Vice Chancellor to upgrade from Windows 7 to Windows 10 for all the computers for every campus for Oakland Community College. They did it right away. They didn't have a problem with it, and they were one of the early adopters of Windows 10, thanks to me and my insistence. They went from Windows 7 to Windows 10 early. They were probably supposed to wait until it was grandfathered out, where there's no more support for 7. But since they have the great hardware and they really have the student base, they went from 7 to 10 with no problems. And I have to say, Oakland Community College is doing so much better now. They have so many more community events. This year they're doing so much better with the different events. I think there's more students. There's a lot more students hanging out on campus. It was kind of like a ghost town before, where the homeless people would just kind of inhabit it, which was very, unbecoming for the school, even though that's part of, working with the public, is you have to deal with the homeless people and different undesirables. But they always did it. They would always have to, deal with the Oakland Community College police. But, now there's more students rather than more people that just need a place to take a nap. So it's pretty nice. Even though that's still, the nappers are still nice for a college kind of atmosphere too. But, it's kind of, they're going from just a regular community college almost to a business school, mentality, because I had the business school mentality from Baker College and all my experience, and I guess I've rubbed off a bit on the school, and they're doing so much better now at Oakland Community College. I did a few things with Macomb Community College, but on February 23rd, 2018, I upgraded Oakland Community College from Windows 7 to Windows 10. February 20th, 2020, I upgraded a small office in Southfield, Michigan from Windows 7 to Windows 10 for the Go-To IT group again. So that was my second contract with them. And I can see that, going from 7 or 8 or 8.1 to Windows 10 is, a lot of work for me in my field of Microsoft software. And it's that time of the business cycle where you're cycling out the old software, either upgrading the hardware or getting new stuff and coming up to the latest and greatest software, which is always good. That's progress, and that's what you want for a business. And the small office does have a pretty slow network. I'm not sure how much business they do. I'm used to $1 million a day companies. Microsoft's $1 million a day. The Atlantis Casino does $1 million a day in business, and I was basically at the helm of those two companies when I was in charge in Reno, and I'm taking all that experience and bringing it home and just noticing the differences between the size of the company. I do like working with the bigger names and the bigger companies, but I don't mind going all the way down just to the little guy with just a computer question. I don't mind doing that either, but I really have the business mentality. So where do I want to go in the next 10 years? Well, I need to create new business cards, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to create a yard sign with the business logo for my home office. decorate my home office a little bit. I mean, I already have the website, arcilite.weebly.com. Um, and it has a bunch of tech stuff on there, a little bit of law stuff on there too, which is kind of interesting. Just to me, it's almost like a personal website, but just kind of goes in a little bit about software and computers. It's just like a little tease as to what kind of stuff I provide. I want to keep promoting my business using Facebook ads. I noticed there has been some click through. There has been some eyeballs on the different Facebook ads. I really haven't got anything out of it, but I haven't spent that much money either. Facebook gave me $10 for ads, and I spent $5 for ads. Haven't got any responses from them, but I have got plenty of impressions, so it gives me hope that the advertising is going to pay off sooner than later. I don't know, I might advertise in other ways, whether it's billboards or newspapers, or I probably won't do a television ad, but I might do more direct marketing, mail to companies, or contract uh, companies that hire contractors such as myself that will work at different businesses. I want to keep close ties with the local cities, Madison Heights, Warren, Royal Oak, Troy, Ferndale a little bit is kind of like my zone of influence, so I kind of stick with them. I have to stick with local news teams, Channel 2, 4, 7, and I still try to work with C-SPAN in Washington as much as I can, even though that news is pretty dry. I still find it interesting to stay current with those folks too. I have to keep my close ties with local businesses, which I need to do more. I need to do more business to business sales. I know that, and I have to keep close ties with the White House. And I was very very close with Barack Obama. I would watch his show every day from the Starbucks. I learned all kinds of stuff because he is a Harvard law professor, and I really learned how to be a president from Obama. Now I'm working with Donald J. Trump, and he's completely different of a leader, but I mean he still responds to me quite well. He did come to Warren, Michigan, which is right next door. I went to his his little appearance at Dana Incorporated on Van Dyke, and just went over there and supported him and whatnot. And it was a good time. I think he's really doing a lot of changes with the USMCA, and I mean, there's really not much tech-centric because Obama had the net neutrality stuff, and he was in charge of the bank auto bailout, which is really Detroit. And Trump's doing a little bit here and there, but the Trump presidency is really more concerned about the whole state of Michigan. They're campaigning all over the state, not just Detroit, but they're doing really good for us, and I just try to keep everything together with them at the top in Washington as well. So I'm going to keep looking for contracting opportunities in my area. And most importantly, I have to keep up with the latest changes in Microsoft software, Google Android software and hardware, and the Linux operating system. Because I don't support Apple. I don't like them. The clientele is completely different. It's more for design or movie making or whatnot. Microsoft is more for business. The Apple stuff is more expensive. There's it locks you from making changes without being an actual Apple representative or whatever you want, because you have to have specific keys and whatnot to replace a screen and whatnot for your Apple products. I really just don't like Apple as a company, so I stick to my guns: Microsoft software, Google Android, and Linux. And that's basically my company of ARCILITE Computer Solutions of Madison Heights, Michigan. That was a few milestones over the past 10 years, and what I'm hoping to get for the next 10. So hopefully I'll stay in business and grow my business and stay relevant in this ever-changing sea of technology and business, and try to get some more of that General Motors money. I know it's out there, and they're investing in Wall Street, And you know, the great people that work at General Motors, real smart engineer types, and they all need computer solutions. And you know, so I might tailor maybe a campaign towards them or something. So that's where I'm going to keep my focus. I thank you for watching this, and feel free and contact me on Twitter at ARCILITE, ARCILITE, or arcilite@gmail.com is my email address. Send me a text, 313-437-1776, if you're interested in Microsoft software. And I might join the Information Technology Board in the city of Madison Heights. I did apply, so hopefully that will go through as well. Thank you for watching, and everybody have a great rest of 2020.